As the Rams take down Caleb Williams and the Cardiac Bears 20-17. Wow, Tim Hasselbeck joins me now, and we were sitting right here watching this game, Tim, and we were just in disbelief at so many things that were happening. Your initial thoughts on everything that transpired to get us to that overtime win?
Well, it's a tremendous effort by the Rams.
Yeah.
So, really on both sides of the ball. I think you see the challenge that Caleb Williams presents. I mean, just his ability to kind of will the Bears back into that game to tie it up. But the way they hung in there through overtime, come up with a big play, and then you get into overtime, and Matthew Stafford, I think you can kind of see and appreciate the experience in some of those moments, because you saw it with Stafford, you saw it with Davante Adams. Really a remarkable game to go on the road against a really good team and to come away with a win. That's pretty impressive by the Rams.
And we've talked about the weather situation. Southern California teams do not do well in cold weather, but they go in Chicago, get the win. Coming up, we're going to hear from Matthew Stafford. We're going to hear from Caleb Williams, both coaches now that the Rams are moving on. But let's go back in time, because when we saw that throw from Caleb Williams, you and I were both amazed at what he did. We just saw an incredible throw the week before. Now he comes out and shows just unbelievable arm strength yet again.
And that's, I think, part of, just defending them. You think, you're up 7, you're protecting this lead, you feel like you have a good shot, 4th down, and the next thing you know, like, you've got a good call.
Right.
You're on the 14-yard line, and then the quarterback retreats to the 41-yard line, Michael, and throws a fadeaway, 45 yards in the air to Cole Kmet, who, maybe gets away with a little bit of a push-off, which is why he plays the ball a little bit better than the defender. But it's just absolutely absurd, just the ability, the physical ability, and you mentioned arm talent, to make a throw like that. And so, when that happened, I even in that moment thought, with how the Rams were starting to run the football on you, do you consider trying to just end the game right there?
Right.
I don't fault Ben Johnson for not doing that, but ultimately it was the turnover in overtime that ended up costing Chicago.
Yeah, and you raised a good point, because the Rams get it. They went 3 and out and gave it right back to Chicago. So you thought all the momentum was with Caleb Williams and the Bears, and they are marching down the field until he makes that throw that ends up being an interception.
Yeah, and you said it in the highlight, and I think it's exactly true. On that play, Caleb Williams is trying to work Burden to his right. His eyes initially start to Burden. He's kind of getting jammed on his release. And so he comes to Moore, who's running this over route. And really, as you see Caleb here, he's clearly trying to flatten him. And Moore, I think, just is not expecting to get flattened. Maybe he never picks up the football because he doesn't really look like he finds it to accelerate for it. And then Curl, the defensive back, drives on the football much like the ball is being thrown to him, which is why you see the frustration from Caleb. To me, that looked a little bit more like, a miscommunication on the angle that Caleb was hoping his receiver would take.
Yeah, an expectation from the quarterback was not met by the receiver in that situation. But let's go back to Matthew Stafford as well on that game-winning drive by the Rams, because once they got the ball back, there's like, all right, we have to go score here if we're going to try to win this game. And there were a couple key plays that he made. Obviously, we showed the pass to Davante Adams, but also there was a hot read off a blitz. He hits Puka Nacua for that first down, and they go down and end up winning the game.
It's a great point. Throughout the game, especially in the first half, Chicago was doing a good job of blitzing the protections of the Rams. And oftentimes there was just miscommunication up front, and they got to Matthew Stafford. It's really why he was struggling in the first half. But kind of in the gotta-have-it moments, you're exactly right. You get a 3rd down, and next thing you know, this is the one to Adams on the sideline, which is a beautiful throw. And here's the 3rd and 6. Protection is blitzed. Ball is out right away. And even though Kevin Byard is coming down on Nacua, Puka Nacua is just so strong once the ball is in his hands in terms of run after catch. That was really the one that got him into field goal range. Would have actually thought that the Rams would have maybe been a little bit more conservative, run the ball on first and second.
They went for 2 passes towards the end zone.
Instead, threw the ball down the field, made it a little bit harder of a field goal, but able to connect on it.
But right now, we have immediate reaction. Jeff Darlington on the field right now with Omar Spates.
Just an unbelievable game, unbelievable defensive performance down the stretch as well. What kind of resolve did it take to get this game finished?
Just resilience, just taking it one snap at a time, being present in the moment. I think, just the group of guys that we got on our whole team, but, just taking it one snap at a time and not giving up, that's just the result that it took.
They kept going forward on 4th down, almost testing your defense, feeling like they could get it. What did that feel like as a unit?
It was kind of disrespectful. We ain't like that, but, if you want to test us, you're going to find out.
Hey, that's a pretty good point because in that second half, they were pitching a shutout until that ridiculous throw from Caleb Williams. What did you make of the Rams defense?
I think the Rams defense, you think about how they handled some of the short yardage situations and even goal line situations throughout the game. 4 different times on 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1, the Rams get a stop defensively. Yeah. And, so I think when you consider that, I mean, it's a pretty good example. They were down in tight, defended a couple of runs early on. And you think about the Rams, they do such a good job with their run game. It's creative, trying to create opportunities. This was, I believe, the 3rd down play where, Lake is flying to the football. This was the 4th down play. They come up and make a stop. And really throughout the game and some of the situational football moments, short yardage out in the field, the goal line situation down there, they really answered the call. I mean, they stepped up in the biggest moment because, there were times when you looked at it and you said, all right, Chicago, they're going to be able to start to kind of exert their will a little bit running the football. Right. And it really just never happened. Yeah,
and so again, it took an incredible throw by Caleb Williams to get that touchdown late to force the overtime. But again, the Rams get the field goal to win it 20-17. And look, you look at those numbers behind us right now, 340 to 417. But one thing that really helped the Rams, and even beginning, Tim, of that overtime drive was their ability to run the football on Chicago.
Yeah, and I thought that definitely started to feel it. There was a 14-play drive in the 4th quarter that the Rams go on. It's 7 runs, and so I do think that there was also a part where, again, Sean McVay creative with their run game, starting to figure out, okay, what runs do we want to go to? Is it a misdirection run? Is it, some of the jet sweep stuff that they do with Puka, which they obviously hit on a big 4th down. And then, when you start to kind of stretch the defense out a little bit sideline to sideline with that stuff, some of the more power run game stuff like you see here, it's Kyren Williams on kind of a duo play that he ends up bouncing outside. So, yeah, there was no doubt that, look, it was not their night, especially in the first half throwing the football. Right. I mentioned the issues in terms of pass protection, but it was McVay finding the runs that they wanted to get to in the second half that I think helped them kind of, you look at, kind of the fight in time of possession, your struggles on 3rd down. Right. I mean, that was really what they were trying to do in the second half.
Yeah, again, Kyren Williams averaged more than 4 yards a carry, and he did have 2 touchdowns. Again, so we're waiting to hear from Caleb Williams, Matthew Stafford, Ben Johnson, Sean McVay, all of the particulars there in Chicago. You mentioned something earlier about Matthew Stafford. And obviously, look, what he's done in his career, he is bona fide. But from an experience standpoint, give me an idea of how that manifests itself with the rest of the team in those situations, because you feel like he's going to make the plays that are necessary. What does that do for everybody else?
There's a couple things that stick out to me kind of in that regard in terms of the having some gray in his beard. Okay. Right. And so, the first half, they were protection issues. So either, he got fooled, he was sliding the protection a certain way, and he got blitzed. Kyren Williams, busted a pass pro assignment one time. Yeah. They had a time, the tackle didn't fan out when he should have. And oftentimes that can create a little bit of a doubt for a quarterback because you're getting hit. Right. One time Brisker, just absolutely blasts him when he thinks he's protected. And so I think in those moments for younger quarterbacks, then it kind of swallows you in a game. It certainly did not for Matthew Stafford. In fact, it kind of was like, okay, all of that stuff has happened. Right. Now we get to when it matters. Okay, now let's play football. Now this is my moment. And I think that's why you see the throw to Adams. You see the 3rd and 6 throw to Puka Nacua. And it's unfazed. Even so, when you think about how Sean McVay called the end of the game there, they were taking shots down the field into the end zone to say, no, we're not leaving it up to our kicker. We want Stafford to win this football game.
So there's the winning mindset we talk about in sports, and also there's winning perspective, to your point, Tim. Understanding all the things that happen and still understanding, but all that, we still have a chance to win here. Just give our kicker a chance, and that's exactly what they did. All right, the Rams take care of business in Chicago. New on SportsCenter, here's head coach Sean McVay.
Wow, what a great job by our group finding a way. Thought our defense was outstanding. Thought special teams made the plays that they had to make. And then offensively, I did not do a very good job for our group tonight, but I thought our guys were able to overcome it. I thought we were able to be at our best in the most important moments, be able to string together some drives. But, you give them credit. I thought, Coach Allen and those guys did a good job. The weather was a factor just for both teams in terms of just being able to throw and catch. You guys could see that. But the way that game went into overtime, I just love this resilience and the resolve of this group where, man, we start off, you feel like you're getting a little bit of momentum. I make a terrible 3rd down and 1 call. No excuse for that. Should have used the timeout. They did a good job of having a good call on there, and then we got to punt it out. And I thought our defense, they just made them snap it one more time. It looked like they were getting themselves close to field goal range. And what a freaking play by Cam Curl. I thought our defense came up time in and time out tonight. And then offensively, to be able to make those plays, to be able to get back into field goal range, I thought was big. I thought Matthew did a great job of finding Colby early in that drive to be able to get up the sidelines for the first down. Devontae makes an unbelievable catch on the sideline. And then I thought the 3rd and 6 conversion that Nakua had, we took the timeout, didn't like the look. Matthew finds him, and he's so strong, and then we were able to get a few more yards, and then Mevis punches it in, and so hell of a deal right there. But a lot of that we can learn from. I'm just really proud of this football team and the resolve. It's served us well.
Yeah, in other words, full team effort by Sean McVay's Rams as they go on the road again, get the win in overtime over the Bears, 20-17. Now they are in the NFC Championship game for the first time since that 2001 season. Joining us now here on SportsCenter is Kyren Williams. He had 2 touchdowns for the Rams in that win. And Kyren, your coach just said he was proud of the team's resilience. When you hear that from your coach and you think about how this game played out, how was that resilience able to solidify itself for you guys to win this game?
It was on full display. It started with the weather and everybody talking about, the Rams can't come play in the cold. And then we went into overtime, and then we had to continue to keep showing and fighting through that adversity and that resilience to show, man, we really built for anything that comes our way. And we talk about that in the meeting room each and every single day, being built for it. And that's exactly what we showed through that resilience.
As a fan watching the game, Kyren, the emotions going back and forth were immense. And I didn't really care who won the game, all due respect. Yeah. But I wonder from your standpoint, you go up, you have a chance to win, and then Caleb Williams makes that ridiculous throw that sent it to overtime. How are you guys absorbing all that emotion?
Man, it was a great play by them, but we got to continue to keep the mindset of the next play. If we got the opportunity to go out there and continue to keep playing ball and continue to keep going to win this game, like the opportunity presented it for itself today, we just got to continue to keep believing and going to the next play. He made a great play and allowed them to be in the game, but we just continue to keep knowing who we are, believing in ourselves, and just continue to keep going to that next play. Yeah,
when you guys got to overtime, there was a huge play by your defense to give you the ball back, and you guys go down and score. Yeah. And Tim Hasselbeck and I were talking about the influence that Matthew Stafford can have in that moment. Give us an idea how that manifests itself for the rest of you guys when you know that your guy has been there before and he's likely to do it again.
Yeah. Man, it creates a belief amongst the whole squad. Definitely amongst the offense, but it creates a belief throughout the whole team that, Matthew, number 9, he's going to go get that done. He always has, and he's always proven true to that. I remember last week when we were going in, driving against Carolina, I remember saying, man, we got the best person in the world to lead us where we're going to go get to. And, he did exactly that, and he continues to keep showing. So, trusting and believing in 9, man, because he's got it all. He's got it all figured out, locked down, and, great command.
All right, so now you got to go on the road to try to punch your ticket to the Super Bowl. Obviously, the team very well who you're going to be playing. Your initial thoughts on the matchup here with Seattle?
I'm excited for it. It's going to be a big-on-big matchup. It's a team that we see, we've already seen twice this year. So we got to just continue to learn from what we did last time and continue to keep being who we are. I think that if we stay connected and we stay true and play the game that we know how to play, man, we're a really good team. So I got faith and trust and belief in all my teammates to go out here this week to have a great week of practice and a great week of preparation to go in, to Seattle and have a great game.
Hey, have game, will travel could be the motto for this squad right now. You got 2 wins on the road. You got to go do it again for a 3rd time to get to the Super Bowl. But that one would be in California if you can get that win. Kyren, appreciate the time, man. Congratulations. But let's go back to that defense, though, because they made a play to get him the ball so he could go win the game.
Yeah, and, you hear Sean McVay talking about it in the play that he made. It's really a remarkable defensive play with some miscommunication by the offense. When you look at what Chicago's trying to do, they're going to chip the edge rushers with a tight end in the back, and they're doing that because obviously the Rams have tremendous edge rushers. They were giving them trouble most of the night. Now, Burden is going to run an isolation route to Caleb Williams' right. And the receivers to the left that you can't see, you're going to have a clear out, and then you're going to have kind of a deep over concept whose angle, is going to be able to adjust. And so as we play it forward and you give it a stop right here, you get to see what Caleb Williams is doing. He is looking initially in this direction. That's his initial eye focus. Now, when you look at it, you can just see, how Burden is getting jammed up. And so as he gets jammed up, you're going to see Caleb Williams come off of it. So right at this point, because of the underneath coverage is depth, the ball probably, if you're not being aggressive, should come to the flat right there. But instead, Caleb gets his eyes back to the middle of the field. And with a middle of the field safety, he's thinking, okay, this inside clear route should pull it out. And now this over route, I can throw across the field. Now, the angle of the over route, I think, is what gets distorted, because as you stop it right here as he's getting ready to throw the football, you can see that curl is already getting ready to drive on that route. So if a guy's going to drive on the route, then this ball needs to be really flattened, and you're just going to see the angle that Moore takes is not the angle that Caleb Williams is thinking he's going to take. That's why Curl's able to cut him off. So, listen, it's a huge play of the game. And I do think this, just even hearing McVay talk, hearing Kyren Williams talk. Yeah, Stafford gives hope to the offense when you get the ball back in that moment. I think there's an element, too, in terms of having leadership and experience that transcends just one side of the football.
Right. That
the defense is like, no, you know what? Like, yeah, there was a 3 and out, but if we get a stop here, we're okay. Like, we're in this fight here. And when you have that, Cam Curl steps up and makes a play like that.
Disappointing result tonight. Our guys fought the entire way, just like they have all season long. I thought, this was very much like our team has been. And you got to give the Rams credit. Coach McVay does a phenomenal job. Coach Shula did a great job with their defense this week, and they ended up making a couple more plays than we did, and that's why ended up going into overtime, and they ended up coming out on top. And so, like I said, disappointing result. Our guys are feeling it right now. They all believed, man. They all believed all year long that we could find a way to win each and every week, and so it's disappointing like that. But I am proud of the group. It's a special group. I said that a few weeks ago. I believe that to my core. That when you're with a group of men for the last time in the locker room, and it's just not going to be the same going forward. That. I appreciate all of them, the men and the women, coaches, players, support staff, everybody that had a role this season. It was a special year, and this will be hopefully a feeling in this locker room that we won't forget, and we'll be able to use it as fuel going forward. But with that, I'll go ahead and open it up.
Dude, I was confident. He's done it. Every time we've asked him, he's stepped up and made kicks. He does it in practice all the time. He's consistent. He's a gamer. So I just knew his blood pressure would be low. He'd be ready to rock and roll. And just a great operation, great snap, good hold. Those were not easy conditions to do any of that kind of stuff in. And then obviously a great kick there to win it for us.
Your blood pressure like in overtime?
Pretty steady. Obviously that first drive, wish I would have done something there on that third down to, get us into a better one. That first drive we had in overtime, obviously our defense, unbelievable play by Cam Curl getting the pick. Our defense played outstanding all night, and then knew we had the opportunity to go down, drive down, and give us a chance to get in range or score a touchdown, and we were able to do it.
What did Coach McVay tell you during the timeout? He told us he changed the play.
Yeah.
Before Puka's.
Yeah, we flipped it. Had a different play in there. He asked me if I liked the one that we ended up running. I said, hell yeah, I love that one. And it was a great call, great feel by him to kind of bang a timeout on the first one. Didn't have a great look to what we wanted to do. Just great feel by him on the sideline, getting that done and giving me a good play. And then obviously Puka did a nice job after the catch.
But from in the moment, saw the front side safety down, the front side of the concept, ended up getting hemmed up a little bit. And so moved on and had DJ going over top over all of it. just a miscommunication between him and I. Tried to flatten him off under the safety, and he kept it vertical from what I saw on obviously in the moment.
How do you describe the suddenness of this and being on this joyride and then it's just over?
Yeah, it's tough. Being in that locker room, the best moments is being in that locker room after games and after wins, and being with the guys that you all have a common goal. You all sacrifice family time, and things like that, and all that you sacrifice to be in this position, to be in those moments, and so it's tough, and so in these moments you feel that you let your team down, or you feel that you this or that, and it's a good lesson learned for us. First time being in this situation for me and for us as a team, and I'm excited for what's to come. But obviously, going to go back and watch this and figure out how I can be better, and that's the exciting part.
Can you take us on the tying touchdown pass?
Mm-hmm.
When you are scrambling for 10-plus yards
Yep.
back to it, what are you thinking during that time? Any idea what you're going to see when you turn around?
I end up getting a little bit of pressure, and so try and break contain and just break angles and slow those guys down so that when I do turn around, I can have a little bit more time possibly to be able to find somebody. And they did a good job containing me, and so I just gained a little bit more depth. And I saw Cole one-on-one over there with everybody else on the other side, at least near the goalpost. I understanding that 14 was on him. He's a little bit smaller guy, and Cole's obviously a 6 foot tight end and things like that. So I just wanted to give him my best ball and give him a shot. Understand it's fourth down and kind of game on the line. Well, was game on the line.
Do you appreciate? I know it's tough now, obviously, with how important is the win or loss. Do you appreciate what you did with that throw and what Cole did and just the moment he provided?
Yeah, it was cool in the moment, but I will say I can appreciate the organization, the city of Chicago. I can appreciate the sacrifice, the growth that we've had as a team, and I can appreciate the growth that I've had, the trust that I've built with Ben and the other my other teammates and things like that. So those are probably the things that I can appreciate.
Did you think that you would have another I was just going to say, after that play, did you think, here we are engineering another comeback, and, did you kind of envision how this is going to end because you guys have had so many comebacks?
Yeah, you obviously, you want to be on the better side of it, so you're envisioning, all good things, and the moment, you're envisioning, going out and winning and putting up the game-winning either field goal or touchdown and things like that. So, yeah, you envision it, especially after that moment. You want to, like I said, you want to have those positive things in your mind in those moments to be able to go out there and try and win a game.
What did all of these late comebacks all season, what does this mean for next year? What does this mean for what you can do? Do you think of it as momentum, or is every year its own thing?
Every year it's its own thing. But I will say the core of this team, the young players, obviously the players that have some longer contracts and things like that. We got a good core that the organization's done a good job of building. And so, the growth that we've had and things like that, is going to be enjoyable. We're going to be here for a little bit. And so I'm excited about it. I'm excited about the growth. I'm excited about being able to go back and watch this. I'm excited about being able to get back and next year being able to learn more than I did this year and keep growing and us as a team and organization to be able to keep growing.
You mentioned the trust that you built up with Ben. Mm-hmm. How do you describe the strength of where your relationship is versus where it was when you walked into the building in April?
Yeah, it's grown tremendously, and that's something that I wanted to do. That's something that was very important for me, because I want to be here for a while, and I know he wants to be here for a while, and just being able to attack our relationship and bond and trust between each other was really important for us to be able to help be in this position as a team and to be able to be in this position many times in the future.
Caleb, with the way the fans and the whole city really was just buzzing about you and the team this season, what was it all like this year for you in Chicago? Yeah,
it was awesome. It was a really fun year. One of my more fun years of being able to play football between the growth, the hard times, the good times. and just being able to be in the locker room with the guys that we had and the guys that are going to be here. And so I'm excited. I'm proud of our guys. I appreciate the city of Chicago. I appreciate Chicago Bears, the organization, and I truly appreciate the coaches and their sacrifice, and obviously my teammates.
Patriots win, and Mike Vrabel thrilled to have a work trip next week to Denver.
Okay, I can't wait to tell people I get to coach the Patriots. Okay, I get to coach you guys. Okay, on Sundays. It's an honor and a privilege to watch you go out there and compete. We knew it wasn't going to be easy. I appreciate each and every one of you. Okay, we needed to play. Booty went downtown. Booty.
Yeah, I think not satisfied means we're back on the road. Back on the road in the AFC Championship game. I mean, that kind of speaks for itself. So I'm just trying to, enjoy these playoff wins. I think in the regular season when you come up with wins, you feel like you can play better. You kind of have this, down mentality and just know that we made enough plays tonight. Obviously, I wish I had some plays back, but that's part of it. That's part of playing good teams in the playoffs. And proud of these guys for how we played. Keeps on being a defense picking us up when we need to. And
I think we're one of those teams that play better with a chip on our shoulder when everybody kind of counted us out. I think it was a handful of commentators and people, the little tidbits that I do see, because I try not to see it too much, they all pick Houston to win. I mean, for a good reason, and that's a good football team, and I understand their vantage point. All we can do is come in and work hard during the week and put ourselves in the best position to win the game.
So a few offensive voices there getting the post-game platform, but this was the best showing by a Patriot defense. I don't know, Battle of Sullivan's Island? These Patriots forced 5 Texans turnovers Sunday, the most takeaways for New England in the playoffs since the 0-3 AFC title game against Indy, which also had snow. Meanwhile, for Houston, heartbreak.
I just feel like I let people down, and I'm, not happy with that, and it hurts, and I'm not, naive to it. I didn't play my best this year, but I'm gonna, respond. I'm gonna, keep my chest up, my chin up high, and I'm gonna just keep battling forward. I try my best to forget successes and failures, regardless of, what it is in that specific season. I'm gonna learn from this, and I'm gonna move on. I'll be better, and I'm gonna be back.
No, CJ's our guy. I believe that he could come back out in the second half and flip it. I believe that he could play better. And he did that in the second half. He did play better. We had some positive drives. CJ has done a lot of great things throughout this entire year. I know CJ. I got your back. And that's what I told him at halftime. This whole team has your back. We're in this thing together. It's not a magical elixir that's going to happen to get past the divisional round. It's still football. And you got to go out and you got to execute football really well in these moments, and we have not done that.
As promised, Tim Hasselbeck hasn't gone anywhere. Tim, not every pick falls on the quarterback.
Sure.
But C.J. Stroud had 4 before halftime.
Yeah.
You played this position. How much of those 4 picks are on Stroud, and how much is just forced errors by the Patriots defense?
Yeah, here's what I would say about it. That Peyton Manning quote, every interception has its own story, and that's definitely the case. Look, I think it's fair to say the environment, the elements were tough. The defense was tough. New England up front is really good. You're going to see, how the pocket throughout the night just was getting collapsed. So that's tough sledding for any quarterback. This is 2 consecutive plays, on the same drive that we're going to see the pocket just shrink on the quarterback. And so that's tough sledding for anybody. And then you throw in the elements. That's a problem. Then I think there are other things. So, and this is a good example of some of it's the defense. It's getting man coverage. The inside linebacker is going to have a new number 3 because Harrison Bryant is going to slice across the formation. But Milton Williams drives the left tackle back into the backfield, knocks off the slicer, and then when that happens, Chason, who really would have to be worrying about trying to spill or wrong arm that, now he can get up the field and he's in the face of C.J. Stroud. Well, now at this point, okay, so that's the defense. They did that. Now, what's the quarterback's job? Well, the quarterback's job is not to make a bad situation worse, which is exactly what happened. So, Phil, it's a long way for me to say, look, it was all 3 things for C.J. Stroud, which is why it was, such a mess throughout the game. And quite frankly, there really were very few bright spots, like first or second half. A few in the second half, but for the most part, it was uphill sledding the entire game.
And all your examples there showed Stroud under pressure. When he was pressured, 3 for 15 for 30 yards and 2 picks, including the pick 6.
No question. Look, on the other side of this, though, Drake May largely unbothered by both the weather and the Texas defense. What did you see from a positive standpoint from the young buck?
You know, it's interesting. You can just hear the tone of him talking after the game. Feels like he could have played better. Did a lot of good things. We're going to look at his first touchdown pass. You know, they motion pre-snap to give you a good look. You saw Drake May right there. You know, he had his hand out. He's saying, look, here's how we're going to block this. He actually made a Linda call. You could hear it on the broadcast. Going to slide the offensive line left. So these 5, the offensive linemen, it's a 5-man protection, have those 5. That's what we got. So if you have any second-level pressure that comes from over here, you have to throw hot. Not a big deal because the back is going to be in the flat. That's who he's going to throw hot to. So as this ball is snapped, guess what we get? We get that pressure from right there. But Petrie is the guy who was coming. He kind of comes and then settles his feet. So now as you play this a little bit forward, you know, May's getting ready to throw this. You see his eyes. He's getting ready to throw this right now. But what you have is a driving defender on the flat, and then Petrie, who settled his feet, is kind of standing right in the throwing lane. So now watch what May does. It's really remarkable. To reset his feet, he's got an inside slant right here, but because he's a little late to it because he wanted to throw the hot, he's got a defender driving on it. At his size, to kind of reset and then make an accurate throw, you know, being a little bit late, that's remarkable football. You can't do it any better than he did it there. They blitzed your protection. Then they kind of had a reaction and fooled you on it. It was really incredible. Now, the disappointment I think you hear in his voice after the game is some of this stuff, because you saw it against the Chargers as well. I don't care if Jarrett Stidham's starting or who's starting. If you turn the football over on the road in the playoffs, it is hard to win. And so I think that, you know, they talk about the chip on the shoulders. You heard Stephon Diggs talking about it. Like, I don't know that that's a bad thing, because to win 2 playoff games when your quarterback, who's an MVP candidate, didn't play his best, I think that's a pretty good sign for your football team.
Not to mention they got Cardi B rooting for him, so I think everybody's in a good spot, frankly, for the Pats.